Jupiter is going to start its retrograde motion very soon. This is a very impactful phase for all of us, and we can take advantage of this. I'll tell you how. Hello everybody, I'm Tina Chaudhary. Welcome to my channel and a very warm namaste. Aham Brahmasmi. Before I start talking about Jupiter, there's a couple of things I want to mention. Number one, my August predictions are already out. The video is out. So if you've missed that and you haven't watched it, feel free to watch it. I'll put a link on my description box. Now, the other thing is that this video and all the other videos that I put out are always based, the predictions are always based on your rising sign or your ascendant, and they're always based on Vedic astrology calculations. So make sure you're listening to the right section of my predictions, including this video. So in order to know what your ascendant or rising sign is based on the Vedic astrology calculations, I'm going to put a link in my description box, and that link is where you can click it and you can put in your birth details, which is the date of birth, the time of birth, and the place that you were born, and it pulls out a chart that shows you at the bottom what your ascendant or your rising sign is. Of course, it shows you all the planetary positions at the time of your birth, but what you really need to look at for the purpose of watching these predictions or any other predictions that other YouTubers put out is your ascendant or your rising sign. And sometimes they'll talk about your moon position or your moon sign. So make sure you do that, and I'll put a link to that website down below in my description box. Now, a lot of people, I've done that before, and a lot of people said, well, it's completely different. Yes, of course, it's going to be completely different. It's not the same as the sun sign that you're used to, thinking of yourself as in the Western astrology, where it's based on your date of birth. And so for the same month, everybody has the same sun sign. So don't get confused and worried that it's not the same sign that you're used to watching. So make sure you're watching and listening to the correct Vedic astrology rising sign. Like I said, link is in the description box, and don't worry about it being very different from what you are used to thinking of yourself as. So let's take a look at all the planetary positions and the dates that this Jupiter retrograde is going to occur in. So the Jupiter retrograde motion starts on September 4th and it goes on till December 30th. So it's about 118 days. Now, Jupiter goes retrograde once every year. So it's an annual phenomenon, nothing strange or unique about Jupiter being retrograde. So because it usually gets retrograde for about 120 days a year, 1/3 of all of us, of the world's people or population, has a Jupiter retrograde in their birth charts. That's the reason for that. Normally when planets go retrograde, sometimes when they're right at the beginning of the zodiac, they tend to move back into the zodiac that's previous to that. But Jupiter has been in Aries, and it's fairly in the middle of Aries by now. So while it's in the whole retrograde motion, it's not going to move back into the prior zodiac of Pisces. So it's going to stay in Aries the whole time. Now, right now, it's transiting in the nakshatra of Bharani. Bharani is ruled by Venus. Now, it is going to change its nakshatra. So on November 26th, it's going to go into the prior nakshatra of Ashwini. So Ashwini is the nakshatra prior to Bharani. So November 26th, Jupiter moves into the prior nakshatra of Ashwini. And then it won't come back into Bharani until February 3rd of next year. So it does change its nakshatra. Now, the other situation that's going on is that in Aries, Rahu has been in Aries with Jupiter since April. So they've been creating this Guru Chandal Yoga, that is with the Jupiter and Rahu, whenever they conjunct in the same zodiac, it's considered the Guru Chandal Yoga, and which is the conjunction of Jupiter with Rahu, and I had made a video on that. It's a very, very powerful conjunction that impacts all of us, sometimes at a negative level, not such a positive conjunction. It's not considered a good conjunction. So right now Rahu is in Aries as well, and now Jupiter is retrograding. But the good news is that Rahu is going to move out of Aries sometime at the end of October or November, depending upon which position of Rahu you take. Sometimes it's either the mean position or the true position of Rahu. So either October 30th or sometime in the middle of November, Rahu is going to move out of Aries, go into the prior nakshatra of Pisces, and that deserves a video of its own. So I'll definitely make a video of Rahu Ketu making their transit. They transit once in 18 months, so it's very impactful. transit, of course. So the good news is that Rahu will be out of Aries and will not be in conjunction with Jupiter sometime in the middle of this retrograde motion of Jupiter. So that's one of the favorable things. Now, the other aspect that's going on is that Saturn has been in Aquarius since January of this year. And Saturn has been blessed with the third aspect. So it always aspects the zodiac sign that's third from wherever it's placed. So because it's in Aquarius, it's aspecting the zodiac of Aries. So it's aspecting Jupiter at this time. Well, it's aspecting Rahu too, but it's going to aspect the retrograde Jupiter. Now, Saturn is retrograde as well. So I made a video on that. If you haven't watched that, you can watch that certainly, and to kind of see what the impact of a retrograde Saturn is. Very powerful indeed. So here we have it, that we have a retrograde Saturn aspecting a retrograde Jupiter. Now, this is extremely powerful, extremely impactful for all of us. And the reason is that most of the major events in our life are given by Jupiter, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, because these are the slow moving planets. So all the major events in our lives are caused by these slow moving planets. So when both of them are retrograde and one is aspecting the other, you can definitely expect something big or major events to happen in our lives. Now, most of this impact, of course, it depends on the dashas and the mahadashas that all of you or all of us are experiencing. Certainly, if you're undergoing the dasha of Jupiter and Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, definitely you're going to feel a major impact of this retrograde. But, because it's such a long time that they stay retrograde, most of us have a certain, even if it's not a major Mahadasha or Antardasha, at least a Pratyantar Dasha or the third level Dasha we could have of these planets. So they kind of end up impacting all of us. So I'll talk about why a Jupiter retrograde position, why I think that phase is so beneficial for all of us in just a second. So stay tuned for that. So what is a retrograde planet and how can we take advantage of this retrograde phase of Jupiter? So I've explained retrograde so many times in my prior videos that planets actually don't move retrograde or backwards. They just seem like they're moving backwards. But retrograde, the word actually means going backwards. Now, what they signify really is something from the past or something that has already occurred and that now we need to reflect back. So retrograde from a planetary position in astrology means when you look at it and it seems like it's moving backwards. And so in the literal sense of astrology, it means that we reflect back on the past. And why do you reflect back on the past? What is it that in real life, why do we reflect back on the past? We reflect back because we think that we may have done something maybe not right or right, and then we may need to reverse it or correct it. So the only time or the most of the times you're reflecting back on the past is because you feel that maybe you didn't do something correctly, or maybe you need to change something or make a correction to something. So this is the reason Jupiter is retrograding at this time, or every year it retrogrades, is because it gives us a second chance or a second opportunity to fix something that we feel that we didn't do correctly, we didn't handle correctly, or we didn't close out correctly, let's just say it. So to me, the reason this is such a wonderful phase every year, especially at this time, because Jupiter is in Aries. So the reason I feel this is such a positive time is because we're all getting a second chance to fix things that we didn't do right the first time. Life never gives us, sometimes we feel, you messed up something, we didn't handle a relationship well, we didn't handle something in our career right, we didn't treat somebody correctly, or sometimes we feel like, oh my God, I wish I had a second chance. And so here it is. Here's the second chance where when Jupiter retrogrades, we get the second chance to reflect back on our past mistakes. And they could be any mistakes. They could certainly be mistakes related to relationships, but they can most certainly be mistakes or things that we need to review and redo related to our career. Why is that? Because Saturn is retrograde at the same time and it's aspecting Jupiter. So these could be things that we made in our career. Maybe we made a wrong career choice. Maybe we picked up the wrong job, we picked up the wrong project, and we felt, this isn't for me. I needed to do something else. So this is the time when life is giving us, or these planets, this energy is giving us a chance to correct something that we felt that needs a correction in our lives. So this is the time when I'm encouraging everybody to take full advantage of it, because it's a second chance to restart new things. Why is this so great this year? Because Jupiter is in Aries. Aries denotes or signifies new beginnings. It's the first zodiac of all the 12 zodiacs. So it kind of signifies the start of new things. So we can actually close out things that didn't work out well for us and restart something in our life. So let's say we didn't handle a relationship well and we feel like, oh my God, I wish I had handled it differently. Or there was a job that didn't start well, we didn't handle it well. So now we can go back, we introspect, we retrospect, and figure out what it is that we didn't do well, what is it that we now need to correct about it, and then we can start a new beginning, because Jupiter is in Aries and Aries signifies beginnings, new beginnings. So now we can get a fresh start. And this is why it's very powerful this year, because not only is Jupiter in Aries, which signifies new beginnings, but it also is being aspected. This little bird is wanting to sit on my shoulder. It's such a pretty little thing. I wish I could move my camera, but I'm not going to. So at this time, Saturn is aspecting Jupiter, which means, hey, if there was things in your career that you need to correct, this is the time to do it. If there's, and Venus is, when it first starts, Venus is retrograding as we speak now. Mercury is retrograding. All these this retrograde energy is just all over the universe right now, where it's saying, make corrections, fix what you didn't do well, or you feel like I need a second chance on something. And that's why it's retrograde season, and that's what it's telling us to do, is make the corrections in your life that you really feel you need to make. And Jupiter is a benefic planet, so anything that good that you need to start in your life, fix and start in your life, is going to work out really well. So I strongly encourage all of you to reflect back, introspect within yourselves, and think about what it is that you can make a fresh start on in your life. Jupiter represents our children, our love life, our relationships. Jupiter just represents all the happy things in our life. And so this is the time when we can utilize this wonderful energy of the retrograde Jupiter to make a fresh start in everything that we want to make a fresh start in. One of the other things you have to remember is retrograde planets support other retrograde planets, which means that this retrograde Saturn is going to support this retrograde Jupiter. So it's especially powerful time to make any changes in your career that you feel you need to, redo in your career. If you've picked the wrong job, and you feel this job's just not for me, it's time to think about what it is that you didn't do right, and then move forward with a new plan. Now, I strongly suggest that you don't really take action right now. You just introspect and think about what you didn't do well, and then you have a plan. Sometimes it's not a really good idea to move forward and take action on new plans while planets are retrograde. You kind of wait to take the action after the retrograde period is over. So think and retrospect right now and make your plan, but don't take action until the retrograde period is over, which would be the next year. So the next year starts and all the retrogrades are over, and then you start taking action on whatever it is that you need to do as far as career is concerned. All the other things, yes, you can do that right now. As far as, let's say, if it's a relationship, if it's something that you need to apologize to somebody for because you didn't handle it well, those things you can do now. You don't have to wait for the retrograde season to be over. As far as career is concerned, as far as starting new things like buying a new house, starting a new job, wait for the retrograde season to be over, which is sometime next year or sometime later this year. So that's how you can take advantage of this beautiful opportunity that it's presenting ourselves. I think it's a wonderful time to retrospect within ourselves, figure out all the mistakes we've made in our life, and then fix them. Life doesn't give us second chances, but this is a wonderful time. Once in 12 years, Jupiter retrogrades in the sign of Aries with an aspect of Saturn. Couldn't get any better. Take full advantage of it. And now I move on to predictions. My predictions, like I said, are based on Vedic astrology calculations, and they're also based on your ascendant or rising sign. And let me remind you, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel and please do share my video with friends and family. Aries. Aries, Jupiter is going to retrograde in your first house, but it rules the ninth house, which is the house of luck and your father and your dharma, spirituality. And it also rules your 12th house. The 12th house represents isolation, all things foreign, spirituality, and it also represents endings and maybe expenses and losses. The first house signifies new beginnings, your physical body, especially your face. Now, this is a very powerful phase for Aries. Now's the time for you to complete any transformation that you previously desired. This transformation could relate to your physical body, but it could also relate to a new start in your life. This is positive phase for as far as your intelligence and knowledge is concerned. So think through what changes you want to make in your life and why you haven't been able to make them previously. Introspect why you weren't able to achieve those in the past, make the necessary adjustments in your action plan, and then you can move forward with a revised plan. This is a very positive time for you to take care of your body and your physical appearance. If you want to make any changes to your physical appearance, get a makeover, change your hairstyle, things like that, think about what would help you get more self-confident and go for those changes. This is about you. So what is it that's holding you back in having that aura, that magnificent feeling of self-confidence, self-assuredness, and what's been holding you back all this time? And if it's anything to do with your body or how you look or your physical appearance, then make those changes now. It's a very good idea also to start a physical exercise regimen to maybe get the body type that you've been wanting for a long time. Think about what's held you back in doing those or following those steps to get that physical appearance that you've always wanted, and start that regimen now. This transformation could also relate to your career and also wishes and desires. Think very carefully to what occurred in your recent past in your career and what were some of the things that you could have handled in a better way. Then make sure that those corrections and revisions are made by you now so that you can benefit in a very grand way in the upcoming months in as far as your career achievements are concerned, and also how you can get all your wishes and desires manifested to your satisfaction. But more than anything, this is about how you feel and the thoughts that you think of. Are you feeling positive all the time, or are you feeling negative and down on yourself? And so this transformation speaks more to not only just your physical body, but also how you feel. Are you more positive thinking or more negative thinking? And you need to change that about yourself at this time as well. What are some of those things that don't make you think positively or make you feel self-assured, confident all the time? Change those things about you. Aries, this is an extremely powerful time for you. Don't waste it on not taking full advantage of this transformatory phase that is coming up in your life. Taurus. Taurus, this Jupiter retrograde is occurring in your 12th house. Now, the 12th house signifies expenses, losses, all things foreign, even foreign travel, but it also represents isolation, and at a higher level, it signifies spirituality. For Taurus, Jupiter signifies the 8th house and the 11th house. The 8th house represents transformation, sudden events, but the 11th house represents gains, your social network, your friend network, but above all, it represents all the material gains and the wish fulfillment. In this phase is when you reflect back and understand who your true well-wishers are and those that really don't care as much about you. This is a time for learning about the possible mistakes you previously made in how you handled your material gains and your finances, and the decisions that you made in your life regarding wishes, desires, and how you spent your money or how you handled your finances. Maybe the people that you were counting on or depending upon in the past didn't give you the support that you expected. So there may be a feeling of some letdown or disappointment. Now you may need to rethink your strategy as far as finances and expenses is concerned and spending is concerned. If you have been traveling or you've had to relocate due to financial reasons, you may also need to rethink or introspect regarding this decision and strategy. Some Taurians may also need to learn from some mistakes that they feel that they made in handling family relationships and their domestic life. This could also be a time that forces you to make some lifestyle choices regarding taking care of your health. So some Taurus might feel that their health has not been doing well because of certain lifestyle choices or work that you've been doing, and now you make a decision on how you can better handle your daily routine, your overwork issues, and then you make lifestyle choices to how you can better handle your health and pay greater attention to your health. Taurus has no doubt been overworked and stressed regarding their career, and this phase may give them an opportunity to make very transformatory decisions and changes in their career and profession. Reflect on prior mistakes and make wise choices this time, because this is an incredibly powerful phase that gives you a second chance to correct prior wrong decisions or actions and move forward with a fresh start that will give you incredibly very beneficial results in the future. Gemini. Gemini, the retrograde of Jupiter is occurring in your 11th house, and the 11th house is one of that signifies wishes, material desires, and also social and professional network. For Gemini, Jupiter rules the 7th house. The 7th house signifies marriage and partnerships, all kinds of partnerships. And the 10th house rules career and status. Of course, these are the two most important and significant areas of our life. So for Gemini, Jupiter is a very important planet. But at the same time, Jupiter is not a very friendly sign for the Mercury-ruled Gemini, because Jupiter and Mercury are not friendly to each other, which could be one of the reasons that, Gemini frequently suffers in marital relationships, or sometimes also they get so career focused that, they either have a very good career or either have a good marriage, or sometimes they struggle in these two areas of their life because they get very materialistic and focused on material gains and desires. I'm making a very general statement but of course your unique birth chart has more to say on that. So during this phase, it's possible that Geminis get into conflicts with their business partners due to financial matters. Also, there's a likelihood of misunderstandings with someone in your network social circle due to past incidents. If there was any rewards, promotions, material benefits that you were expecting that didn't materialize, you may have to speak up or handle that issue now, and there could be a satisfactory resolution to that. So you're going to have to handle something that wasn't done, or you didn't accomplish your satisfaction in the past, and now this is the time when you feel, okay, I'm going to have to speak up to that, or I'm going to handle that, and then you do that, and it actually gets handled very well. This is also the time to retrospect on how you have been handling your marriage or your expectations from your spouse, and then make the necessary corrections. Frequently Gemini takes on the role of a guru to their spouse, and so they constantly judge them on their performance and then keep telling them what to do, what not to do. And so this is the time that Gemini can introspect and rethink on whether they've assigned an equal role to their spouse as opposed to the role of a subordinate, or constantly telling them what to do. And since Aries is signifies new beginnings, it could be the beginning of a new relationship with your spouse where you take on a new attitude and you treat your spouse as an equal, as opposed to somebody where you're the guru and they're the subordinate. And so that's why you need to introspect. And if your marriage has not been doing well, then you need to introspect, and that's the change you need to make. Some of you may also see that there's a possibility that you need to reflect on your career path and profession and make a decision that some changes are necessary in order for you to achieve your desired gains in the future. But for most Geminis, this phase is about reviewing or making changes in how they handle their material gains or financial plans for the future. Reviewing what they did in the past and then making changes for going ahead. Cancer. For Cancer, the retrograde is happening in the 10th house. The 10th house is the house of career and our social status. And for you, Jupiter rules the 6th house, and the 6th house signifies health, competition, your co-workers, any legal matters, and also signifies the 9th house, and the 9th house is the house of luck. It's also the house of dharma, spirituality, and also your father. And it also denotes following the right path. Now, this phase, I believe, is a very positive time for Cancer as far as their job or professional field is concerned. And the reason I believe that is because this is the time when you retrospect and what has not been working well for you. What are you not handling well? And what mistakes did you make in the past regarding anything to do with your career? Whether it was professional relationships, work performance, or work habits. And then you make all the necessary changes so you can finally move ahead. Now, it's very critical that you introspect within yourself. Be fair to yourself. Understand what you didn't do right in the past, all the mistakes, and then make sure that you make those corrections so you can move ahead. And so this is a time when this phase is giving you an opportunity to correct, to make the corrections and then move forward. And if that means changing your job, if that means changing your professional work or whatever it is that you do, then this is the phase that needs to make that happen for you. Hence, it's positive in the fact that it offers you a new chance or a second opportunity. But you also have to understand that if you don't make those changes at this time, then there could be other consequences, because don't forget, Saturn is retrograde in the 8th house, and that does mean, something suddenly happening in your career. So it's the time to make very positive changes in your career. For some Cancers, it means that there's the possibility that an old health issue could resurface for your father also during this phase as well. Now, for those Cancers that have experienced any health issues themselves that are signified by Jupiter, such as asthma, diabetes, or any hormonal issues that are signified by the planet Jupiter, this is a time to take very good care of your own health and be very vigilant about items like that or health issues like that. The other positive impact of the retrograde Jupiter is that it gives you a chance to get blessings from your father, gurus, and the divine of whatever faith that you believe in. Make sure that you stay very close to your faith, your belief system. Ask for their blessings and have complete trust and faith in them, and you will receive their blessings. So this is a somewhat positive transit, I think, for Cancer, as long as they stay true to their introspection, make sure that they correct what they've been doing wrong, and get the blessings from their divine. Stay very close to their divine, stay spiritual, and ask for their blessings. This could be a positive time for Cancers. Leo. Leo, the Jupiter retrograde for you occurs in the 9th house. The 9th house signifies fathers, gurus, mentors, religion, and above all, it is also the house of luck. For you, Jupiter rules the 5th house and the 8th house, and the 5th house signifies education, creativity, children, love life. But the 8th house is one of obstacles, but transformation and sudden events. For most Leos, this phase offers a very, very positive transformation in your own energy. You may feel like you are drawn to your faith and divine and start finding peace in the divine and spirituality. You will be very inclined to reflect back and think about what gives you real joy and happiness and start making those changes in yourself during this transit. This phase may have some impact to your father, which means that you could have some issues or conflicts with him, or health issues that your father experienced in the past may resurface at this time. But most importantly, this phase offers you an opportunity to fulfill your obligations to your fathers. Any promises or commitments made to your father as well as your gurus in the past should now be fulfilled. Also, if there was any wishes or desires that you asked for your divine to bless you with in the past should also be thanked for now, if in fact you were blessed by them. So if you had asked in the past for your divine to bless you with some wishes or desires, now is the time you need to make sure you thank them appropriately. Those Leos that are in a love relationship need to introspect on this relationship and how they want to carry it forward. So either they make this relationship stronger by making any necessary adjustments within themselves to make it stronger, or they may experience a disturbance in this relationship in the future. So it's very necessary for you to introspect about how you are behaving in this relationship and how you're making it stronger. Those Leos that would like to start a family at this time, it's a very positive time. But in fact, if you've experienced issues with this in the past, you may now find some medical help to resolve this matter. And so it's a good time to start a family and in fact find medical help if you've experienced some issues with this. For the Leo students, this gives you an opportunity to rethink your line of study and education. So if you're a Leo student and you're not happy with the line of study that you've chosen, think through things very carefully, and if the need be, choose a new line of study and move forward with that. Overall, this is a positive time for Leos because they will be blessed by the divine, Jupiter being in the 9th house. Make sure you stay close to the divine. Leos will go through a transformation of sorts, and it could be a very positive transformation as long as they introspect within themselves and identify the reasons for their true happiness and joy. Make sure you stay close to the divine and be very thankful for the divine and ask for its blessing. That's what makes this transformation so positive for Leos. Virgo, Jupiter is going to be retrograde in the 8th house, which signifies the sudden changes, obstacles, health issues, as well as it's the house of transformation and change. Jupiter rules your 4th house, which is the house of domestic happiness, mental peace, and also rules the 7th house, which is house of marriage and partnerships. So this retrograde phase is going to force you to focus on your personal life, domestic matters and happiness, as well as your spouse and overall health. This is a time of deep introspection for you to find out the root cause of why you may not be finding happiness, or what is the cause of stress and disturbance within your domestic environment. You need to reflect back on the past events to see where mistakes were made and what can be done to rectify any and all situations. This is what retrograde means. It gives us a second opportunity to fix and correct what was not handled well in the first instance. This is why this retrograde phase is a phase of transformation for you as far as your happiness and relationships are concerned. This retrograde phase offers you a time to assess your own role and the mistakes that were made in the past, and to find a way to somehow make corrections in those areas before you can move forward. This is also a time to be conscious of your relationship with your mother and take care of her health. This is not a good time for real estate deals or transactions as well. Overall, this activation of the 8th house can increase feelings of insecurity and fears in you, but it will be beneficial for you to control them by fulfilling your obligations towards all your family members with good devotion, patience, and this gradually leads you to a very positive transformation in your personal life that is going to be very beneficial for you after the retrograde phase is over. Also, make sure you take very good care of your health. Saturn is retrograde in the 6th house, so the possibility of an old health issue resurfacing is also present. Make sure you make lifestyle changes that is beneficial and conducive to a healthy lifestyle at this time. The health issues could be related more to the Saturn kind of things, which could be pain in the lower extremities, in the legs, and also pain in the body, and the feeling of general lethargy. So the best solution or guidance that I can give you is to make sure you maintain a physical exercise regimen, even though it's not a very vigorous one. Even a small amount of physical daily exercise can do wonders to overcome both these retrograde phases of Saturn and Jupiter at the same time. Libra, the Jupiter retrograde is occurring in your 7th house, which is the house of marriage and partnerships. For you, Jupiter rules the 3rd house, which is the overall courage, determination, and also self-effort. It also rules the 6th house, which is the house of health, competition, co-workers, daily routine, debts, loans, and also lawsuits. So the 6th house is a bit of a challenging house. So this retrograde phase may bring back some disturbance in the marriage. Your spouse can bring back all kinds of past issues and allegations and continuously want to fight about them. It would be my best guidance that instead of simply arguing back with them, you reflect back within yourself on the past very objectively and analyze where you went wrong in the relationship. This is considered your second opportunity to make things right within your marriage. All partnerships, actually, it could be your business partner as well. So if you can be true to yourself, identify the cause of this conflict and take the necessary action to fix whatever you can on your end. It's not worth fighting about and telling the other person what they're doing wrong. This is the time where the Jupiter retrograde asks you to introspect within yourself and figure out and correct what is wrong with you and your actions, as opposed to telling the other people what is wrong with them. This is also a time for you to be very careful about your own health, especially for diseases that are signified by Jupiter, and especially if you've had these issues, health issues in the past. So Jupiter signifies the liver, so it could be diabetes or any other hormonal issues. Jupiter also signifies breathing, so there could be health related problems related to breathing, asthma, diabetes, hormonal imbalances and stuff like that. If you've had them in the past, then you need to take care of them, but everybody doesn't need to be worried about them. A relationship with siblings should also be handled with care, and resist the temptation to getting into arguments with them or dredging up past issues with them as well. That may not end well for you either. Overall, Libra needs to take care of their health and energy level at this time. They may not feel very energetic or enthusiastic, and they need to make some healthy lifestyle choices at this time. Meditation is a very good idea to help calm their mind, so that promotes a healthier physical body as well as better ability to be able to introspect within themselves, so that they can handle their relationships with much more love and care. So this is an okay retrograde phase for Libra. It's not very positive, but it's a very good opportunity to fix what's wrong. So I'm suggesting that they try meditation. I try, connecting with the divine, so that they can find that mental strength to be able to introspect and fix what's wrong in their relationships. Also fix what's wrong in their health if they do have any health issues that do come up at this time. Scorpio, Jupiter is going to be retrograde in your 6th house. Now the 6th house is a bit of a challenging house because it rules the health, competition, co-workers, your daily routine, debts, loans, and also lawsuits. Jupiter for you rules the 2nd house, which is a house of family, finance, food, and speech. And it also rules the 5th house, that rules the intelligence, children, love life, education, overall happiness factor in your life. This retrograde transit of Jupiter is going to be very impactful at a very deep intrinsic level for Scorpio, because it's ruling all the houses that rules happiness in our lives. So this retrograde phase of Jupiter in the 6th house has the possibility of creating conflict in your life. Now these conflicts would mostly relate to events, incidents, and matters from the past, and now they resurface for some odd reason, and people want to start fighting about them. These could be within the family, it could be within the love life, and even children could be bringing this up, whether they're younger or they're older. Or these could be in the workplace even. The problem could start with someone saying one thing, and then it spiral out of control, and then everybody starts arguing about it, and it's something that probably happened a long time ago, and nobody knows why it's being brought up now. So this is a time where your happiness is going to be compromised, because you just don't know why all this fighting or disputes are going to start around you. So the best way to handle it is to probably not argue back, is to stay out of it. There's no sense arguing or fighting back, because it could get worse, and it actually could impact your health as well. The best thing would be to kind of assess your role in all of these things that is being brought up, and assess whether you really have something that you did that needs to be fixed or not. Do you have a hand in what people are complaining about? And if you truly have made mistakes in the past, or you haven't done something that you were supposed to do, then you make amends and then you move forward. But really arguing more or fighting back isn't really going to get you anything. So this is a time of deep introspection and just correcting what you feel needs to be corrected by yourself. If you are a student, you may be forced to rethink your educational choices and then make changes in your line of study if that's what you feel you need to do. This is a positive transit in that it forces you to re-examine your financial and material desires in conjunction with people and relationships. You need to introspect the value of each of these in your life, as well as the fact of who your true relationships and well-wishers are, as opposed to those people in your life that are just more money motivated in your life because of what you give them in as far as material desires is concerned. This is a time where you introspect and make the right decisions as far as who you keep in your life and who you let go. You also need to take very good care of your health during this transit. Make sure you maintain a very strict daily routine that includes some kind of physical exercise, whether you go to the gym or you do light yoga or just go for a walk every day. Also pay very special attention to your diet, otherwise you could have some digestive issues during this phase. Sagittarius. Sagittarius, the Jupiter retrograde for you is happening in the 5th house. The 5th house rules your relationship with children, your love life. It's also your creative thinking and your intelligence, and also your education. Jupiter rules your ascendant, so it's your ascendant lord, so it rules your 1st house, which is your physical body and your thinking. It also rules the 4th house, which signifies your domestic environment, mental peace, and your mother. The Jupiter retrograde is about you, yourself, and your well-being in terms of health and your thinking as it relates to the others in your life. So first, it's important to pay attention to your physical body, health, eat healthy, but don't get obsessive about fad diets, and be cautious about your physical workout habits. You may have been a bit obsessive about these things in the past and now realize that it's better to manage your health with a more balanced approach, not an obsessive manner. The other introspection this retrograde phase requires from you is the mistakes that you may have made in the past in your personal life and relationships. Some Sagittarians may not have really taken their relationships as seriously as they should have, and they may have put themselves first. Sometimes this approach takes a toll on relationships. So now's the time where you introspect and understand whether you've done that or if you've not valued these relationships, and you may need to make the necessary adjustments and corrections in your relationships with other people. Give them the due importance and put value in them. Those Sagittarians that want to have children, it's a very positive time to do that. And in fact, if in the past you've faced some medical issues related to that, this is a positive time to get medical help for resolution. As far as students are concerned, you may feel the need to rethink or redo some part of your education or field of study. This is also a time where you need to take very good care of your mother's health and your relationship with her. Don't dredge up past issues to start resentful conflicts with her at this time. Also, Sagittarians that are in a love relationship, and I don't mean marriage, need to be very cautious about starting conflict in their relationship, especially about things that occurred in the past. It might not be a good idea to do that because that might actually also lead to a breakup because of the fact that Rahu is in the 5th house and also Saturn is aspecting this relationship at that time. Strongly caution you to be very watchful about what you say in this love relationship and how you treat your partner in the love relationship. And the same applies to Sagittarius that has children. It might not be a good idea to bring up past incidents, past events with your children, whether they're young or they're grown up, and remind them about where they've failed in the relationship or things that they haven't done well. This can lead to permanent resentment and also a lot of conflict within the relationship, so avoid doing that. Capricorn. Capricorn, this Jupiter retrograde is occurring in the 4th house, and the 4th house rules your mother, your mental peace, and domestic environment. Jupiter for you rules your 12th house, and that denotes expenses, losses, isolation, loneliness, all things foreign, and spirituality. It also rules the 3rd house, which is your siblings, courage, determination, and the initiative to take on new things. This retrograde is about how and what you can do to find some mental happiness within your domestic environment. You need to introspect within yourself and what is the root cause of your mental worry and tension. Also, you need to identify what steps you can take to change your approach that you have had in handling your relationships with your family. There is no doubt that Capricorn has had a lot of burden and responsibilities within the family. So now you need to understand what it is, and if that is creating some stress for you, what it is that is creating the stress for you and how you can correct it going forward. Also, you may want to rethink your handling of your finances in the past, identify what mistakes you have made in the past, and then make corrections as you move forward. The 4th house also rules your mother, so it's time to make sure you take good care of your mother's health and your responsibilities towards her. This phase also counsels you to rethink your relationship with your siblings. If you have experienced any difficulty in your relationship with them, then it's time to mend that relationship. You may also get the opportunity to visit them and talk about these past issues and find some resolution with them. I strongly encourage you to do that. There's also a chance that your siblings have some health issues related to what they had in the past, and then the resurface of these issues may occur, health issues may occur with them. This is not a good time for real estate transactions or to relocate to a new place. If there's an opportunity for it due to career reasons, think very carefully before you actually act on it. Since Jupiter does rule your 12th house, I strongly urge you to try to include some level of spiritual practices in your life at this time. This could be any kind of mantra chanting based on your religious beliefs. It could also mean yoga, meditation, or deep breathing exercises. These would be very helpful in calming your mind and giving you some level of mental peace. If you're having trouble sleeping, which is entirely possible during this phase, then any of these exercises or practices would also be very helpful in giving you some good sleep. Aquarius. Aquarius, this Jupiter retrograde is occurring in the third house. The third house denotes self-effort, communication, courage, confidence, communication, and also siblings. And then for you, Jupiter rules the second house, which is the family, finance, and speech. Also the 11th house of wishes and desires, siblings again, and social and professional network. Both the money houses, which is the second house, and the 11th house for Aquarius are ruled by Jupiter. So again, this Jupiter retrograde is a very, very important time for Aquarius individuals. This retrograde phase is advising you to be very wise about how you handle your finances, savings, and investments. It's asking that you reconsider all your investments and financial planning to make sure that you are getting the best return. If necessary, you need to make a revised plan to manage your savings. It's also the time to manage your expenses and spending habits. If you have been careless about spending in the past, then you need to consider making changes to your approach towards spending. This is also the time when you need to rethink about your approach and attitude towards family members and your communication habits with them. You may have been making mistakes in how you have handled your relationships with your family members and now need to change your behavior to improve and value them. You should also understand that relationships are more important and valuable than material goals and desires. Introspect on your communication style and identify what you need to improve on. Make the change going forward. For those Aquarius that have experienced difficulties or conflicts with family members, this is the time to resolve all past issues. You must make the first move and initiate the communication to resolve these differences. Also, make sure you maintain a good relationship within your social circle, your social network of friends. Don't dredge up past issues and resentments and start conflicts or disturbance in the relationship at this time. There's a possibility that friends or your social networks of circle of friends that you haven't met for a very long time may actually resurface in your life at this time as well. Lastly, surely not the least, you need to also think about your eating habits. If you have not been taking care of your diet or your eating habits, this is the time when you need to make the required changes. Make sure you're eating healthy on time and also things that agree with you. There's a chance that if you don't take good care of your eating habits, you could end up with digestive issues at this time as well. Pisces. Pisces, this retrograde is occurring in your second house, and the second house signifies finance, your family, the food that you eat, and also your speech communication. For you, Jupiter is your ascendant lord, so it also rules your ascendant house, so that's your physical body, and it also rules your 10th house, which signifies your career and your status. This retrograde phase may make you rethink about your career and profession and what changes you think you need to make to bring satisfaction and happiness. Due to this introspection, some Pisces may have some professional changes during this retrograde phase. Make sure you think through things carefully and don't make any changes impulsively. Introspect on what professional mistakes you may have made in the past so you can make corrections and not repeat them going forward in the future. This is also the time to change the way you handle your finances. Pisces expenses and or losses have been higher in the past. So now be conscious to save rather than spend and not deplete your savings. Make sure you make some lifestyle changes regarding financial management now, and that's going to be very beneficial in the long run. You are also being counseled to be extremely conscious about your health and eating habits. So make sure you follow a very healthy diet and stay away from junk food and other tempting vices. These can actually be very damaging to your health during this time, and may even cause new health issues to develop at this time. Lastly, but certainly not the least, family relationships need to be nurtured during this time. Don't dredge up old incidents, past events, and then start conflicts or disturbance within the family. Start talking about what somebody didn't do in the past, and then, create conflict. You resist the temptation to do that. It's time to start valuing family rather than creating issues within the family about things that happened in the past. Let them stay in the past. Your communication is going to be very important at this time, and the second house rules communication and family. So instead of fighting about what happened and what didn't happen, who did what, it's a better idea to use the second house to value your family and tell others what they did well as opposed to what they didn't do well. So use this transit well to improve relationships rather than damage relationships. Tell others what they did well instead of, what they didn't do well. And that's how you repair relationships and value family relationships rather than damage them. Overall, it's a very good opportunity for Pisces to improve their situation as far as, financially and relationships is concerned. So use this opportunity well, make improvements in your own financial situation and within relationships if they were suffering before. Here's an opportunity to really improve your situation in many different ways. So don't lose this opportunity. With this, I come to the end of my video. I hope you've enjoyed my video. Good luck, and I'll see you on my next video.